mountaintop into the valley low, but never gave up on the maker of my soul.
But actually, he never gave up on me either, though. Allowed the hard times to happen so we can grow.
Not for discouragement, but for his strength to flow. When the seasons change, we won't be tossed to and fro. No compromise, heart, no mind control. He's been so good, want the people to know. No compromise, heart, no mind control. He's been so good, want the people to know.
And as we're elevating,
take us out of the equation, cause we just wanna praise him
from sun up till day's end.
Although it's dark, you are the spark that lights my flame. Lamp to my feet, my heart is beating with your praise. And when the power tries to entice me to fame, the answer never changes, no way. I'm gonna give a praise. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High.
The challenge is to put this in words, but not impossible. Pneumonia tried to take my mom's breath in the hospital. Yeah, she got her win back, and I had a friend chat. New op opened up, now the queen's on a new path. Thankful, covered by the angels, things could have been fatal.
There was favor on the other side of the rainbow.
Appreciate the things I had to wait for. Remember Jacob and Rachel?
Oh yeah, he had to wait too.
How long?
14 until he got his breakthrough.
Woo, that's a long time, sis. I understand why folks give up, but those who endure to the end gon' be lit up. Just like the sun joined together as one. I was love, I'ma soak it up like a sponge while the world is spinning. I'm recommending stick with y'all, it's a beautiful ending.
Although it's dark, you are the spark that lights my flame. Lamp to my feet, my heart is beating with your praise. And when the power tries to entice me to fame, the answer never changes, no way. I'm gonna give a praise. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. In Him I will rely. Lift your hands and praise.
Come on and lift them up.
Lift your hands and praise. Lift your hands and praise. Lift your hands and praise. Gratitude goes a long way. Not too long ago, walking down the hallway, was in a hard place. Didn't really know he was carving out of space. Minimized complaints, combined with all my praise, then blessings started pouring like rain. Started to see change. Who can protect from these dark forces out of range? There's power in His name, I don't mind giving praise. Although it's dark, you are the spark that lights my flame. Lamp to my feet, my heart is beating with your praise. And when the power tries to entice me with fame, I'm gonna give a praise. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. In Him I will rely.
God will do what He wanna do. Chapter 1.
Yeah. Bring the kingdom back. We bring in the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bring in the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bring in the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bring in the kingdom back. We seeing what's wrong, why they deceiving, be crooked. crooked. Our visions and hopes is what we need to keep pushing. But some won't build this kingdom, cause all they do is talking. Even though they words sound good, all they works is in their throat. Noah was told something, and in these words he did believe, and he saw these things to come, so he got up and built the boat. Seem like we're splitting hairs, but this the wheat and the tares, a temporary get tear while we becoming the heirs. Yeah.
Can come true. What's in you can come true as we bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back, back. Thy kingdom come, yeah. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back. We bringing the kingdom back. Bring the kingdom back.
Everyone suffers from police misconduct. Although we deal with our constitutional rights being violated, innocent citizens being arrested, and constant harassment, we sit and do nothing about it. You may be asking, what can I do? Did you know that you may have potentially left hundreds of thousands of dollars floating in the air? Yes, you may have had the rights that you didn't know you have violated. Having your rights violated is more than being abused by the police. Did you know that when you are stopped by police, there is a 75% chance that one of your constitutionally protected rights were violated? The United States Supreme Court have made several rulings making even the smallest of violations by police unconstitutional. Do you know what these violations are? My name is Abaya Israel, and I'm a former police officer and a former sheriff deputy. I want you to download my free ebook and register to take my online video course titled Surviving the Police, so you can learn your constitutionally protected rights. The next time a police officer violates your rights, you will be aware and alert and able to fight back the legal way. Don't be that person who was taken advantage of and you never received compensation because you were unaware. Register for my online video course today, so if you are unjustly targeted by police, you will be compensated. It's time to help put an end to police misconduct. Register today at WeThePeopleUniversity.com.
Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Shalom Care, grooming essentials for the modern man of color. Paraben-free, peace with care. For beard mousse, armpit mousse, or jock mousse, visit Shalom Care. ForYouToYou.com. Shalom Care.
Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this platform by individuals, callers, or invited guests are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with the brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation to PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom. You're now tuning in to Debate Talk for You Radio. I am Gabar Alahai, and this is the Sabbath Meal, episode 33. Today, we will be getting into Word is Bond, the Power of the Tongue. Before I begin, I just want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the authority of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who was commonly called Jesus Christ, and to everyone tuning in now, whether it's live or on the playback. May Yahweh keep you and watch over you always. Big shout out to Sal Showtime for allowing us to do our thing here on this platform. You guys see the information scrolling down at the bottom of the screen, so make sure you like, share, subscribe, and donate to the platform to show your support. Once again, going to be getting into Word is Bond for Sabbath Meal, episode 33, The Power of the Tongue. Why am I doing this topic? Actually, this is a topic that I've taught quite a few times, just not on Debate Talk for You. It's actually one of my favorite lessons to teach. So I just figured I'll just bring it over here to you guys, so that way you guys can check it out, and give some feedback, give some insight, whatever the case may be. All right. So before I get started, just want to say Shabbat Shalom to Kashmir Gatekeepers Network. Shabbat Shalom, Bahashan, Hamashiach, Hawashai, Barakatah. All right. And Mom the Bear, aka Angel Williams, says, where can I find this song? I'm not sure if you were, I think I saw this message while I was playing the Open Writer song. You can actually just look them up on YouTube. Just type in Open Writers and on YouTube, and their information should pull up. I believe they're also on Spotify as well. So just type in Open Writers on Spotify. They may be on iTunes also. I'm not sure what music streaming service you use. I use YouTube Music because I pay for the premium service for that. So yeah, that's how I'm able to get the music. But yeah, you can definitely look them up on YouTube, as well as other music streaming platforms to check out their music. Again, that's Open Writers. And the other artist I had played was actually John Boy. John Boy is very known amongst the Israelite community. He's got a lot of music. You can look him up also. All right. So I'm actually going to start doing is I'm going to start showcasing a lot more Israelite music. I was doing that in the beginning, then I kind of got away from it because YouTube likes to give copyright strikes, and I'm not knocking anybody that's a music artist for wanting to make sure that their stuff is copyrighted. It's just that YouTube sometimes gives out copyright strikes. But hopefully, now that I'm running the disclaimer with the Fair Use Act, hopefully we can bypass some of that. All right. So again, you can check out Open Writers. Just type in their name in the search bar. You could probably do a Google search on them, and their music will pull up. All right. So let me get back to this. All right, y'all. So let me go ahead and get this going. So Word is Bond, the Power of the Tongue. Got another PowerPoint for you guys. I'm going to be sharing today. Let me go ahead and get that pulled up for you. All right, here it is. All right, here we go. Word is Bond, the Power of the Tongue. So we're going to be going through a lot of scripture. It's just going to be pure scripture. I'm not pulling no definitions. I'm not pulling no other sources. It's just straight scripture today. All right. So just bear with me. I don't plan to hold you guys for too long. We're just going to go straight through it. All right. So here we go. Word is Bond, the Power of the Tongue. All right. First scripture. Give me a second, you guys. Here we go. All right. Proverbs 18, verse 20 and 21. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Okay. So now I'm going to slow this down for a second, because it says that a man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. All right. And they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Okay. So you notice how it's putting a lot of emphasis on, the tongue and the type of fruit that the tongue bears. Okay. And how that person's belly is going to be satisfied. It's according to the fruit that's in his mouth. Okay. They that love it shall eat the fruit thereof, whether it be life or death. Okay. They that love it, life or death, shall eat that particular fruit. Okay. So Again, slowing this down because we really got to understand the scripture. Okay. A lot of us actually that read the Bible actually kind of know the scripture. Well, it's life and death in the power of the tongue. You got to be mindful of what you speak. You know, you can't speak things into existence. I've heard a lot of different things said about this scripture, and all those things are relatively true. Okay. So we're just going to dig in a little bit deeper according to the precepts to get the understanding of this scripture. Okay. So let's go a little further. All right, check this out. So this is a parable from Hamashiach Yahawashai, Luke 6, verse 43 through 45. It says, "For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh." Okay. So again, we see that even in the parable that Hamashiach Hawashai spoke, okay, he even uses the same analogy that we find in Proverbs as far as fruits and that which is in your mouth. Okay. Whether you have life or death, the fruit that is in your mouth is going to love they that love it, life or death, is going to eat that fruit. Okay. Real quick, just want to say Shabbat Shalom to Michael Paul. Let me get back over here. Shabbat Shalom, Michael Paul, man. Appreciate you tuning in as always. All right, so getting back to this. All right, so a good tree, it doesn't bring forth corrupt fruit, and a corrupt tree doesn't bring forth good fruit. Okay, so the things that are in your mouth, that are in your tongue, that's your fruit, is that which you speak. And out of the abundance of the heart, which is the mind, the mouth speaks. So whatever fruit you have in your mind is going to be in your tongue. Whatever fruit is in your tongue, that is what your belly is going to be satisfied with. Okay, whether it be life or death, whether it be good or evil. All right, these things are fruits that lie within your tongue, which come from your mind. Okay, so let's continue on. All right, check this out. Sirach 37, verse 18 through 23. "Four manner of things appear, good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. There is that wise and teacheth many." Salakia, "There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that showeth wisdom in words, and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. For grace is not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Another is wise to himself, and the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. A wise man instructeth his people, and the fruits of his understanding fail not." Okay. So we see just how powerful the tongue is. All right. There's four manner of things that appear, good and evil, life and death. We just read about in Proverbs 18 as well as in Luke about good and evil, life and death. Okay. The tongue rules over these things continually. So these are fruits that the tongue rules over continually, good and evil, life and death. Okay. So whatever your belly is going to be satisfied with is all contingent upon what's in your tongue, the fruits that are in your tongue. And whatever fruits is in your tongue means that that's the thoughts in your mind. Okay. So now it says that there is one that is wise and teaches many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. So that's the person who talks and teaches all the right things and has no application. Talks and teaches all the right things, yet has no application when it comes to himself. There is one that showeth wisdom in words and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. Okay. So someone can show wisdom in words, but they're not showing it in deed. And that's why they're hated, because they're hypocrites. They shall be destitute of all food. For grace is not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Why? Because he didn't apply that which he was speaking. He did not apply that which he was speaking. It says, another is wise to himself, and the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. Okay. So a person who's wise, what are they going to do first? They're going to fear the Most High and keep his commandments. That's what they're going to do first. Before they even try to teach another, they got to make sure that they're in check and that they're actually applying the things that they are teaching. So they're wise to themselves, and the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. Why? Because what they say lines up with what they do. What they say lines up with what they do. A wise man instructeth his people, and the fruits of his understanding fail not. It's like you trying to listen to somebody when you're like, but you do that too. You could call them out on the very thing they trying to call you out on. You can call them out on it. So we got to be aware of these people and the types of fruits that they have in their mouth. Because is it commendable in his mouth, or is it unprofitable? Is it commendable, or is it unprofitable? Okay. Has it been profitable for him or her that's telling you these things? So again, we got to identify the fruits that are in our tongue, the things that we are speaking, because the things that we are speaking go a long way. All right. And we're going to get more into this. So let's go a little further. All right. So check this out. Proverbs 15, verse 1-4. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of Yahweh are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Okay, so hey, look, sometimes it's like the saying goes, you could catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. So sometimes you gotta be a little bit more smooth, a little bit softer with your approach and how you speak. We as Israelites, we tend to have this problem sometimes. Sometimes we don't always come off soft. Sometimes we we come with the blade and we try to cut every single time. But sometimes we don't always got to do that. We don't have to do that every time. We just simply must sometimes have a soft answer, which can turn away the wrath, because grievous words are going to stir up anger. All right. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. So the information and the knowledge that we have, we gotta use it aright, and how we speak it and how we execute it. Okay. Because we don't want to be that fool that pours out foolishness. It's like, man, he's saying all this stuff, but he ain't doing a lick of it, man. What is he, a fool? Because the eyes of the Most High Yahweh are in every place, beholding the evil and the good, including what you speak. And again, Israel, we got to be very careful about this, because the Most High, he's listening. Everything is being recorded. Every idle word, like Hamashiach Yahushai said, every idle word we got to give an account for. The Most High Yahweh's eyes are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. The tongue rules over good and evil continually. So you must believe, most definitely, the Most High is listening to what you are saying, whether people hear it or not. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life. It brings life. A wholesome tongue brings life. But perverseness in your tongue, that's a breach in your spirit. If you speak a certain way and it's not wholesome, you have a breach in your spirit, and you need to address it. All right, let's continue on. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11-14. So now we're going to see the law and how the law relates to how you speak. We're going to see that. Okay. So Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11-14. For this commandment, which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the seas for us and bring it unto us that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Okay. So the word of Most High, it's in our mouth, it's in our minds. It's what the new covenant is always supposed to be here. It was always here. The tenets of it, the sentiments that are echoed from it was always present. So the new covenant is not really a new covenant. All right. It's just being renewed, as we've been trying to tell the apologist community for a long time. But I'm not here to talk about them today. Okay. I'm here to deal with the power of the tongue. And we're right now going over the law and how it relates to the power of the tongue. So the law, what the Most High commands, his word, it's nigh to us, so nigh that it's in our mind and in our mouth that we may do it. So if it's in our mouth and in our mind that we should do it, that means that we got to be speaking and doing the law. That is what brings us life, because the Most High set before us life and death, and he told us to choose life, and life is in the keeping of the commandments, which is what we should be speaking and doing. That is the fruit which is good and has life. Let's continue on. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So the book of the law is not supposed to leave from our lips, from our mouth. If we meditate, which means that it's in our mind, that means we're revolving in our mind day and night. Remember, I did a lesson a while ago on meditation. Make sure you guys go check that out here on Debate Talk for You. All right. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth. So if we meditate and if it's revolving in our mind, that means we're going to speak those things and we're going to do those things. We're going to bring forth the fruit which produces life. Hence why a wholesome tongue is a tree of life. Because the tree of life, in order for it to be a tree of life, is contingent upon being obedient to what the Most High said brings life, which is his commandments. Okay, let's continue on. Psalm 119. All right, first we're going to deal with verse 72. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. So we don't need to be trying to philosophize. We don't need to be trying to have our own thoughts. We don't need to be trying to think our own ways. We don't need to try to lean to our own understanding. The law of the Most High's mouth is better for us than thousands of gold and silver. Okay? Because it has wisdom that's better than silver and gold. It's better that we just have the Most High's words in our mouth and we speak those things and we think upon those things that the Most High spoke, that we think upon them day and night and we speak and execute those things, because it's better that those things are in our mouth. Verse 172 says, my tongue shall speak of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteousness. Not some, not just, oh, well, you got to love your neighbor as yourself. All the commandments are righteousness. So our tongue should speak of those things. They should not be trying to condemn those things or trying to tell people to not do those things. We should not be saying, well, hey, if you keep the law, you're a heretic. If you push people to keep the commandments, you're a heretic. No, you're a heretic because you don't want to speak the law of the Most High. You don't want to keep it in your mouth. So you're a heretic. All right, let's continue on. Malachi chapter 2, verse 6 and 7. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. See, this is why when you come into this, you got to be careful about how you speak, especially if you're a teacher. We as teachers, we're held to a higher standard because we are definitely held accountable to the things that we speak. I mean, even the people check us on that. All right. Videos get clipped and, they start chopping away at what you just spoke. So this is why you got to be careful on how you handle the Most High's word, especially as a teacher. If you are in the position to teach, you need to be careful because the law of truth needs to be in your mouth. So that way iniquity is not found in your lips. Because the priests should keep knowledge. They should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. So if you are acting on behalf of the Most High to be his messenger, to be a priest on his behalf, to be a teacher on his behalf, an elder, whatever the case may be, whatever position that is, please have the law of truth in your mouth, which is the commandments of the Most High Yahweh and his son Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who was commonly called Jesus Christ. Okay, it's the law. It's the law. I mean, this stuff is simple. I still trying to figure out why there's such pushback about the law when the law needs to be in your mouth. It says it over and over and over. It's going to get real redundant today. Okay, but let's continue on. Again, if you teach, this is what you need to be speaking about because this is what's commendable. This is what brings life. This is what is good. It's teaching the law and instructing the people to keep the law because the Most High said so. Not because Moses said so, because the Most High God said so. All right. That is what brings us life. Continuing on now. Let's go to Sirach 34, verse 8. The law shall be found perfect without lies, and wisdom is perfection to a faithful mouth. Okay, so the law is going to be found perfect. I mean, no matter how you slice it, flip it, switch it, the law is going to be found perfect, meaning complete. It's going to be found whole without any lies. Without any lies. You can't lie on the law. You can't lie on the law. So that's why it's going to be found perfect without lies. Wisdom, the fear of the Most High, is wholesome to a faithful mouth. Because if you fear the Most High, that's the beginning of wisdom. And if you have a faithful mouth, which means you believe in what the Most High spoke, which is his word, and his word is a commanding force, that is then when the law shall be found perfect without lies, because you believe in what the Most High spoke, which brings life. That is what faith is. It's believing in what the Most High commanded, whether it be a blessing or a judgment, whether it be an instruction or him saying that he's showing you mercy. It doesn't matter. The whole totality of whatever he spoke, that is what you need to have faith in. That is what you need to believe in everything that he spoke. Let's not cherry pick, okay? And so, again, the law shall be found perfect without lies, and wisdom is perfection to a faithful mouth. So the fear of the Most High, it makes you complete, and that displays someone who has a faithful tongue or a faithful mouth, okay? Moving on. Job 34, verse 3. For the ear trieth words as the mouth tastes meat. Now, this is one of my favorite scriptures. I quote this all the time, man. I quote this so much and over the years because this is one that's really stuck with me. Job 34 and 3. For the ear trieth words as the mouth tastes meat. The reason why it's so important to understand this is because the ear is listening to everything. It's trying everything just like how you would if you're at a buffet. You know, your mouth, your tongue is going to taste. You're going to want to try a lot of different stuff. The ears work the same way. And everything that tastes good isn't necessarily good for you. Give an example. Going back to the whole thing about how it's comparing, the ear trying works as the mouth tastes meat, I don't go there anymore because I just don't like them. But back in the day, I used to go to Hometown Buffet a lot. Had a lot of good food, but then it would have me sick later. So though it tastes good going in, ultimately it's not good for me. So it's the same way with what you hear. Everything you hear sounds good, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you. Is it actually good in itself? Because remember, the tongue rules over life, death, good and evil continually. So though it may sound good, though you may think it's bringing you life, it's actually killing you. So this is why you need to be very careful about who you listen to, what you allow your ears to take in, and so on. And in today's time, there's a lot of people that you can listen to. I literally sat here one Sabbath when I didn't have anything to do, didn't have to do any teaching. I actually had some time where I could actually sit at home, and actually like just go through and check out a lot of different organizations and camps and stuff. And on YouTube, man, this stuff is like a TV tuner. It's like, on the Sabbath, you just flip through. You can listen to a lot of different people on the Sabbath. Okay. So again, be careful because the ear trieth words as the mouth tastes meat. Okay. Moving on. Proverbs 16, verse 21 through 24. The wise in heart shall be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it, but the instruction of fools is folly. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Pleasant words are as honeycomb, or as in honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. So the wise in their mind, they're going to be called prudent. All right. Because the sweetness of their lips, the things that they speak actually increases learning for themselves and for others. So this is one of my personal goals is every time I come on here, I always pray that, the things that I speak actually increases the learning for whoever is listening. Because as I'm going through this, it's increasing my learning. I'm teaching myself. Okay. Before I teach anybody else that's listening, I teach myself first. Okay. Because then I have an accountability to what I have just spoke. I now have an accountability to execute it because I don't want to be found a hypocrite. Okay. I don't want to be that person who has the instruction of fools, which is folly. All right. I want to add the learning to my lips. All right. I want to be able to teach my mouth to say the things that it needs to say, which means what? I have to discipline my mind in order to say the things properly. This is why I stutter because I'm very careful about what I speak. And sometimes I have to really slow down because sometimes I'll speak too fast. So I'll just slow down and really discipline my mind to speak the things that need to be spoken properly. Or I just have to submit fully to the Most High and just let him just take over. Just let his power take over. That way I don't speak my own words at all. Because I want my words to be pleasant as a honeycomb. I want it to be sweet to the soul. I want it to be health to the bones. That is what we should desire. Okay. Whenever we are using our tongue. It's a very powerful tool. Our tongue is. Okay. Continuing on now. Proverbs 21, verse 23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. A lot of people get in trouble in this truth. You can be in this truth and you will be in a world of trouble just because of what you say. You offended somebody. You said something you weren't supposed to say. You slipped with your tongue. I know we've all done it. If you say, I have never slipped with my tongue, you're lying. Yes, you have. You have. In this walk, you most definitely have. I know I have. I have slipped with my tongue. Whoso keepeth shamar, which is the guard, to watch over, to protect, whosoever protects his mouth and his tongue will keep his soul from trouble. You got to watch You got to have a guard over what you say. You got to have a watch over what you say. You got to shamar your mouth and your tongue. You have to, in order to keep yourself from trouble. All right. Moving on. All right. So now let's compare. I'm gonna get a little controversial. All right. So now we're gonna compare and contrast these two. All right. So now Sirach 26:14. It says, a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord. And there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Oh, see, sister, you got to shut up. You got to remain silent. You can't speak. You got to stay silent. Okay, well, look, I don't want to sugarcoat anything, nor do I want to be biased. I just want to deal with what the scripture says. So let's compare what we just read in Sirach 26:14 to Proverbs 31:26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. So if a woman is just supposed to be quiet and not supposed to ever say anything, why is a Proverbs 31 woman, which is a woman speaking in that chapter, it's a woman teaching her son, why is she then speaking about a woman opening her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness? So again, we got to bring balance and harmony to what the scriptures say, because our women amongst Israel are not just supposed to be a bunch of mute boxes walking around not saying anything. Come on. That's not even human like. You know, Most High gave you a mouth to just keep it closed. No, there is a time to speak and there is a time to remain silent. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too much into what Paul was addressing, because that's going to go into a whole nother realm. Okay. But Paul was addressing something very situational, and he had to make that statement about women remaining silent in the churches, because there was a situation that was going on. It was situational. All right. And now when we come over here to Sirach 26:14, now this is not necessarily addressing a situation. All right. This is just saying a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. So now the things that we are going over, though, it applies both ways. Okay. A woman's got to have a very disciplined mind in order to be able to remain silent. A man, likewise, has to have a very disciplined mind in order to remain silent in certain situations. Okay. Now, as we continue to go through these scriptures, it's going to display that more so for the men than for the women. It's actually going to be more so for the men. Okay. But as if a man is being that way, then a woman should be that way in terms of knowing when to speak, knowing when to remain silent. Okay. That is what this is addressing. It's addressing watching your tongue, guarding your tongue. Everyone is just so quick to speak and got stuff to say. I've seen it on Clubhouse, Facebook, YouTube comment section. People come on here when I'm live and do the same thing. Everyone just blurts out stuff. No one really takes the time to really think about what they're saying before they say it. A lot of people don't do that. They just blurt out stuff. They get real impulsive. Slow down. Remember, meditate on what the scriptures is saying about how to use your mouth. Okay, let's continue on. So again, if there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men. This is coming from Sirach 36:23. Okay, so again, a woman, there is a place for women to speak. It's just the manner in which she speaks in. Now, I'm pretty sure if whatever situation was going on that Paul was addressing with Timothy, as well as in the city of Corinth, when he was talking about that, if that situation wasn't going on, Paul wouldn't have said it. Paul wouldn't have said it if there wasn't a situation going on where he's like, well, okay, the women need to remain silent. So obviously the women were speaking out of order. They were speaking out of order. I'm not saying women should not speak. They were simply speaking out of order, because the scriptures do speak about women and how they are supposed to speak. If there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men. Okay. So again, to my sisters, yes, there is a place for you to speak. There is a place for you to have a voice. But just like how we as men gotta exercise our tongue in a certain manner, you likewise should do the same. Okay. If not, then yeah, shut up. But to the men, I say the same thing. If you can't speak according to how we are instructed to, just shut up. Just shut up. Don't say nothing. It's better for you to do that because you gotta watch your tongue, gotta watch your mouth. All right, let's continue on. All right, Ecclesiastes chapter 5. First, we're going to deal with verse 1 and 2, and then we're going to deal with verse 6. So it says, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. Okay. So again, I'm just gonna quickly go back to the woman thing. It's not a personal shot. This is what we all got to do, whether you're a man or a woman. You really got to be mindful of the words you speak. Sometimes you need to just shut up. Hey, sometimes you need to tell myself, just shut up. Just don't say nothing. Then just don't say anything. Just be quiet. Be quiet, Gabar. Don't say nothing. And sometimes you just gotta do that. Women got to do it too. Women got to do it too. Okay. I'm again, this is across the board. This is not to single anyone out. We all got to do this. All right. Verse 6. It says, suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the works of thy hands? So this is why we need to be slow to speak, as the scripture says. Slow to speak, slow to anger, slow to wrath. You know how it says that? I believe Paul said that too. Be slow to speak. He wasn't just addressing women, he was addressing the men too. Okay. So again, women should not get offended when they read that. If they understand that it was a situation and they understand that when you actually read the Bible, I mean, of course you have women who spoke. Of course you have women who spoke, who said something. Okay. Again, it's just being mindful of how you speak, because death and life, good and evil, are ruled by the tongue continually, day in and day out. Okay. Don't be going before the Most High talking about, oh, well, I mean, yeah, God, I know I said that, but I didn't mean that, man. Most High don't play those kind of games. He's like, man, how you gonna come and say you said this earlier, now you want to switch it up? See, we like to do that with each other all the time. You can't do that with the Most High, though. Oh, well, yeah, I know I said that, but now, yeah, I mean, I made a mistake. Nah, I shouldn't have said. Look, don't play those kind of games with the Most High. Don't be so. That's why you don't need to be quick to say anything. Even with this lesson, I'm sitting up here, I'm like, man, should I do this lesson? I did not decide to do this lesson until this morning at 6 a.m. when I woke up, Pacific Standard Time. Because I was like, man, should I do this lesson? Should I not do this lesson? Because I didn't want to be rash. I didn't want to rush it. Okay. Though I've taught this lesson before, I'm just like, man, debate talk for you. Especially because, me personally, I got some blowback a few months back with a certain topic. And I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, you just got to be mindful of how you speak. You got to be mindful of how you speak before the Most High and before the people. Don't give the sacrifice of fools. You need to consider that, man, if I just go and be rash with my mouth, I could be doing evil. But people don't do that. People don't really check what they say and what they do. They just kind of just move and just do stuff. And they just be moving about a certain way, like snakes in the grass. So again, you got to be very mindful of that. All right, let's continue on. All right, Sirach chapter 5, verse 9 through 14. It says, winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way. For so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue. Be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer. If thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. Honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of man is his fall. Be not called a whisperer, and lie not in wait with thy tongue. For a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double tongue. Okay, so went on out with every wind. Don't go into every way. That's why you got to be careful about what you listen to. Don't listen to every single body. You got to be careful. Don't go into every way. For so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue. A person who's all over the place and goes into every wind and stuff, getting tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine, usually ends up with a double tongue. They end up saying two things that contradict each other. Okay. You gotta let your word be the same. That's why you gotta have understanding. That's why you gotta study, because you gotta let your word be the same. Just like the Most High, I change not. For I am Yahweh, I change not. We need to be the same way. Don't change. Don't change what you will need to be put in a position where now you gotta change what you said. That's why you really need to slow down. Be swift to hear. So just listen. Always be swift to listen first before you say anything. And that's why you got to be patient before you give an answer. People may come with questions. And yeah, there's another scripture that says, always be ready to give an answer. But again, it has balance. With patience, give that answer. If you don't know, don't act like you know. Don't act like you know. That's why it says, if thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. If you know and you can speak it and it's actually truthful and sincere, then yes, do so. If you don't know, then don't say anything. A lot of us Israelites, we do that. We sit around and we act like we know everything when we don't know nothing. But we act like we know everything and we just want to give an answer for everything, even if we don't know it. Man, look, I've been in this walk long enough to understand. Look, if you don't know something, it's not a bad thing. You don't have to get in your pride and be like, oh man, they're gonna think I'm not studying and I don't look, man. We dealing with the Most High's word. You know how vast of knowledge, how vast the knowledge is of His word. We're not gonna know everything. We are not going to know everything. So it is okay if you don't know something, even if it's something that may be perceived as, man, he's been in this is long. That it should be simple for him to know. We don't know everything. That's just what it is. Doesn't mean don't know anything, but we don't know everything. We don't know everything. Doesn't mean you aren't studying. Doesn't mean you aren't applying it. But again, be sure you know what you are talking about. Otherwise, just shut up. All right. Because honor and shame is in talk. And your tongue is how you fall. It's how we fall. In addition, don't be called a whisperer. Don't lie and wait with your tongue. You know what? People who do that. That's the people who sit around and they'll be like, oh hey, shalom, man. How about Hashem, how shy? Barakatah, or shalom, sister, most high in Christ bless, or whatever greeting salute that they use, right? And then they'll turn around and then they'll be like, man, that brother get on my nerves, man. As soon as they walk away, man, that brother get on my nerves. Hey, shalom, sister. Man, I don't like that sister, man. She get on my nerves, man. That's that person, okay? That lies in wait with their tongue, looking to sow discord. For a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double tongue. Let's continue on. All right. This is the famous one right here. Sirach 11, verse 8. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. I mean, how many of Israel and Christians have this problem? I mean, this is a big problem right here. People just don't know how to let people talk. They just don't. People just don't know how to let people talk. They just immediately want to jump in and cut people off without hearing the matter first, which is what the previous verse says in this chapter. Blame not before thou hast examined the matter. Understand first and then rebuke. So answer not before thou hast heard the cause. Neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. Let someone explain it first before you say anything. All right. Continuing on. Sirach 19, verse 6 through 12. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. Rehearse not unto another that which is told unto thee, and thou shalt fare never the worse. Whether it be to a friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives. And if thou canst without offense, reveal them not. For he heard and observed thee, and when time cometh, he will hate thee. If thou hast heard a word, let it die with thee. And be bold, it will not burst thee. A fool travaileth with a word, as a woman in labor of a child. As an arrow that sticketh in a man's thigh, so is a word within a fool's belly. Okay, so one thing we as and unfortunately I failed at this. I have failed at this, especially. Well, let me first let me do with verse 6. So verse 6, he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. So again, it is addressing, even though you gotta let people talk and let people finish, people don't need to get that people like to babble, especially in Israel. People like to babble and get very long-winded. Okay. You gotta have less of that, less babbling. So that way you can have less evil. Because the more you talk, the more you just reveal yourself. And you just, man, this dude is there. He's talking too long, man. So everything you saying now is sounding foolish because you're just talking too long to talk. Okay. Rehearse not unto another that which is told unto thee, and thou shalt fare never the worse. I failed at this. Because I have rehearsed things that was told to me and I've went and told someone else. I have done that. Okay. Whether it be to friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives, and if thou canst without offense, reveal them not. Sometimes you may have to discuss a certain matter that may have transpired. But if you cannot discuss that matter without offending, then just don't talk about it. If you can't discuss the matter without offending, then just don't discuss it. For he heard and observed thee, and when the time cometh, he will hate thee. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, you was talking about me. Yeah, you was talking about me. Okay. If thou hast heard a word, let it die with thee. Be bold, it will not burst thee. I mean, it's like people act like they can't keep secrets or something, or that they can't exercise confidentiality. I mean, that's how we act. We act like we can't exercise no confidentiality whatsoever. A fool travaileth with the word, as a woman in labor of a child. That means that you can't hold water. You can't hold water. As an arrow that sticketh in a man's thigh, so is a word within a fool's belly. It's like, oh, I just gotta tell someone. I gotta tell someone. God, get it out of me. Oh, it's burning me inside. I gotta tell somebody. It's just like I used to watch I Love Lucy back in the day. And Lucy had that problem. Lucy Ricardo had that problem. She just had to tell Ethel. She just had to gossip. She just had to tell somebody something. She could not hold it. Hey, look, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. Be bold and don't say anything. Just be like, man, I ain't saying nothing. Yeah, as the saying goes, man, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. You ain't got to say nothing. All right. And it's not going to kill you. It is not going to kill you. All right. Let's continue on. All right. Sirach 20, verse 5 through 8. There is one that keepeth silence and is found wise, and another by much babbling becometh hateful. Some man holdeth his tongue because he hath not to answer, and some keepeth silence knowing his time. A wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. He that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh to himself authority therein shall be hated. So there you have it. People who just love to talk all day. Just, all day. All day. That's all they do. They talk all day. And that's why people talk about him now. Like, man, it do long with him. All he do is talk. They ain't let nobody else say anything. And then when you try to talk, you get cut off. So a wise man is going to wait till he has an opportunity to speak. Okay. But a babbler, they're not going to regard that time. He that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh to himself authority therein shall be hated. Okay. So let's continue on now. All right. So Sirach 25, verse 7 through 10. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy. In the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath the joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Well is him that dwelleth with a wife of understanding, that have not slipped with his tongue, and that have not served a man more unworthy than himself. Well is him that hath found prudence, and he that speaketh in the ears of them that will hear. Oh, how great is he that findeth wisdom! Yet is there none above him that feareth the Lord. Okay, so verse 8 is the verse I want to highlight. Is well is him that dwelleth with a wife of understanding, and that have not slipped with his tongue, and that have not served a man more unworthy than himself. Okay, so I want to start there, because again, we slip with our tongue. I mean, with my own wife, I've slipped with my tongue. I mean, we slip with our tongue. Okay, we need to just accept that we say things we ought not to say. Sometimes we just slip and say things we ought not to say. Sometimes we slip and do things we ought not to do. And we need to check it. Okay. But if you haven't, if you haven't slipped, if you used to slip and you no longer slip, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Barakatah, Yahweh, Bahashan, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. All right. So well is him that hath found prudence, and he that speaketh in the ears of him that will hear. So he that has ears to hear will hear. That's just like the Messiah. All right. So because he speaks in the ears of those that will hear. Hey, if you got ears to hear this, what I'm speaking now, all praises. I'm just a vessel. But we got to watch it because we can slip with our tongue. So let's continue on. All right, Proverbs 25, verse 23. The north wind driveth away rain. So doth an angry countenance a backbiting tongue. All right, so now we're going to deal with precepts concerning this backbiting tongue. All right, we're going to deal with some precepts on this. All right, so this is to understand more about a backbiting tongue. All right, so this is a Sirach 28, verse 12 through 26. All right, so this is the first slide is going to be verse 12 through 16. All right, because I kind of had to break it up in order to make everything fit. So starting with verse 12, it says, if thou blow the spark, it shall burn. If thou spit on it, if thou spit upon it, it shall be quenched. And both these come out of thy mouth. Curse the whisperer and double-tongued, for such have destroyed many that were at peace. A backbiting tongue have disquieted many, and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities have pulled it down, and overthrown the houses of great men. A backbiting tongue hath cast out virtuous women, and deprived them of their labors. Whoso hearkeneth unto it shall never find rest, and never dwell quietly. All right, so that's what verse 12 through 16 says. So if you blow the spark, it shall burn, but if you spit on it, it shall be quenched. And both of these come out of thy mouth. So you got the power to put a fire out or to keep the fire going. Okay. So cursed is the person who's whispering, has the double tongue. You basically destroy the peacemakers. All right. So we see what a backbiting tongue does. It disquiets many. It drives them from nation to nation. Strong cities get pulled down because of it. Houses get overthrown that are of great and notable men. All right. It casts out virtuous women. You'll never find rest, and you'll never dwell quietly. That's what backbiting does. Okay. That is what backbiting does. All right. Verse 17, it says, the stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So, remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? It's a lie. According to this, it's a lie. The stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Words do hurt. Words do break bones. Okay. Words do hurt. In fact, what you say leads to how you get your bone physically broken. Or you physically breaking somebody's bone, because it starts out with what? With what somebody said. Fights always break out because of what somebody said. Okay. I was in high school. A lot of fights broke out because of what somebody said. Somebody said something, which then kindled that fire, which then caused the physical altercation. It always starts with what somebody says. So words do hurt. So that's a false saying. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's a false statement. It's a false saying. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. Well is he that is defended through the venom thereof, who hath not drawn the yoke thereof, nor hath been bound in her bands. For the yoke thereof is a yoke of iron, and the bands thereof are bands of brass. The death thereof is an evil death. The grave were better than it. It shall not have rule over them that fear God, neither shall they be burned with the flame thereof. Okay, so that's what it comes down to. It comes down to you just simply fearing the Most High. All right, that's how you get protected by those who have this type of tongue, those who have this type of mouth, those who bring the backbiting, those who come with that stroke of the tongue, those who try to use their tongue as a sword to cut you all up. Okay, we got to be careful about how we handle this word. There is a time for war. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be chopped up sometimes. I'm not saying that, because the word is a double-edged sword, and it's gonna cut two ways. So the word is gonna do that regardless. All right. But we don't need to put our own personal spin on whatever Most High is trying to have us do in order to intentionally offend. And sorry, Israel, y'all do this, man. The brothers especially, y'all out there street teaching, y'all do this a lot. Y'all do this a lot. I'm calling it out. Y'all do this a lot. Y'all are out there, cutting up with your tongue, offending potentially some of the little ones. Potentially. Some of the little ones. Potentially. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever considered that what comes out of your mouth is actually sin? Okay, so again, we got to be fearing the Most High, so that way we can be protected from the venom that comes from these type of mouths or tongues that are on these individuals. Okay, whoever they may be, man or woman. All right, let's continue on. Verse 23 says, such as forsake the Lord shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them and not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. Look that thou hedge thy possession about with thorns, and bind up thy silver and gold, and weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. Okay, so we don't need to be forsaking the Most High, because then we're going to fall into that entrapment of the tongue. All right, and we're going to be burned, and we're not going to be quenched. So the fire's not going to be put out. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. So now it turns into a judgment. Most High just lets it go forth. All right, we need to be putting that hedge of protection around our mouth. We need to weigh our words in the balance. This is why I tend to pause sometimes, like I just did, because I'm trying to weigh out what I say before I speak it. Okay, like, man, should I say this? Should I not say this? And again, it's why I personally stutter, because I'm very self-conscious about the things that I speak. And I beat myself up a lot personally offline when I go back and I listen to the playback on these videos that I do. I'm like, man, I should have changed that up right there. Man, I could have did that better. Man, I'm criticizing myself so much because I know what I say means something in terms of my salvation. It means something, especially because I've stepped into the position of a teacher. So it means something. So definitely you should put a hedge of protection around your mouth. All right. Moving on. All right, James. Everyone knows this chapter. James chapter 3. All right. This is where it's going to start to culminate. Starting at verse 2. It says, for in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man and is able also to bridle the whole body. Okay. So let me read verse 3. It says, behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn them about, and we turn about their whole body. Behold also the ships, which though they be so great and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so the tongue is a little member and boasteth great things. Behold how great a matter a little fire kindleth. All right. So now coming back to verse 2, it says, you are a perfect man if you're able to bridle the whole, if you're able to not offend in word. If you are able to not offend in word, you are also able to bridle your whole body. Okay, so now what exactly does that mean? Because that's not everyday language that we hear. So what does it mean to bridle? You're able to bridle your whole body. Okay, so notice how in verse 3 it goes into the analogy of putting bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. So being able to bridle the whole body is in comparison to how you bridle a horse. Okay, so how do you bridle a horse and get it to turn whichever way you need it to turn or whatever? Okay, like when you're riding a horse, you're holding on to these two little rope things that you see when you see with horse riders that they're holding on to. That's what's being used to bridle the horse in order to get it to turn, to speed up, to slow down, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's what's used to bridle the horse's body. So if you are able to not offend in word, that means that you are able to get full control of your entire body. If you can control what comes out of your mouth and not be offensive, that can transcend into your entire body. You have full control over your body. That means that you have brought your fleshy vessel into full submission of the spirit. That's what it means. You don't have a breach. You don't have perversions therein. You actually got full protection, not only over your tongue, but over your whole body as well. Okay. So verse 5, when it says, even so the tongue is a little member and boast of great things, behold how great a matter a little fire kindleth. All right. So so in comparison to what it says in verse 4, when it says, behold also the ships which they be so great and are driven of fierce winds, yet they are turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Okay, so even though you have strong winds and these huge boats out in the ocean, all it takes is a little helm from whoever's steering the boat in order to get it to turn. That's how it is with your tongue. It doesn't take much. It does not take much in order to get it to go where it's gonna go. Whether you're speaking good or evil, it don't take much. All you gotta do is just open up your mouth pretty much, and once it flies out, it pretty much flies out, and it's gonna go in there whatever direction it's gonna go into. All right, and it doesn't take much. All right, moving on. All right, so now verse 6 says, and the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So the tongue among our members, Salaki, let me start that over. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beast, and of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith we bless God, even the Father, and therewith we curse men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things not ought not so to be. Okay. So the tongue, because of, even though it's so small, it can defile your whole body. So this is why if you don't exercise control over what you say and over what you speak, you are then in turn defiling the rest of the vessel. The tongue does that alone. The tongue alone will defile your entire body. And this is something that we as Israelites need to really be mindful of. It's the things that we speak. All right, yeah, we wearing the fringes. Yeah, we doing the Sabbath. We're doing feast days. We're not eating pork anymore. You know, we stopped going to church on Sunday. We stopped celebrating the worldly holidays. You know, I mean, we stopped doing all these things, right? Okay, now can we get to the real conduct, the real Israelite conduct? Starting with how we speak. This is the main thing that needs to get addressed, is how Israelites speak. We have such vile tongues in this walk. We offend and we kindle fire so much. We don't even realize that we have been defiling the body of Hamashiach. And you already know what the Messiah said. Look, if the body member is going to cause is gonna be in sin, the Messiah has no problem cutting it off and casting it into the fire. Just like he said, if your eye causes you to offend, if it causes you to offend or to sin, it's better that you get rid of that eye. So the Messiah, likewise, because we are members of his body, if we continue in that, look, he'll kick you out of the body. He'll just get rid of you. He will kick you out of the body, i.e., judgment. So we can't be in the body of Hamashiach Yahushai and then be constantly offending with our tongue. Not constantly. I understand if we slip. I understand that if we're not intentionally trying to offend. But if we're setting out to say things intentionally in order to offend, just to get clickbait or viewership or whatever the case is, man, you wicked. You're wicked. And you need to be checked on how you speak. We need to level up in this truth, man. And it starts with how we speak. We really need to level up. All right. These things should not be, we can't be serving the Most High and then saying that, you know, oh yeah, we love the Most High, we serve him and all that, and we give praises and blessings to the Most High, and then we turn around and then we say what we say to other people. We can't do that. We are a hypocrite, and we need to check it. All right, moving on. Verse 11. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. Okay. So you can't have bitter and sweet coming out of the same place. You can't have blessings and curses coming out of the same mouth. You just can't do it. Okay. It's either going to be one or the other. Otherwise, you just lukewarm, and the Most High will spew you out of his mouth. Okay. So, whoever is supposed to be having this wisdom that they are endued with, it should be shown out of a good conversation with meekness of wisdom. Meekness being one of the fruits of the Spirit, which should be in your tongue, which is commendable. Meekness is a commendable fruit that should be found in your speech. So what does that mean? You got to speak humbly. Just got to speak humbly. Okay. But if ye have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, glory not. It's nothing to glory about. And you don't lie against the truth. Okay. Don't glory in that and don't lie against the truth. Because this wisdom that you think you have, it's not from the Most High. It's from yourself. Because it's sensual and it's devilish. All right. Which is why there's confusion in every evil word. That's why we see all these bugged out doctrines coming out in Israel now. Even more so than I saw 5 years ago. Man, I thought this stuff was back in 2015, 2016. I'm like, man, it can't get no worse than this. Well, it has. Because this stuff is getting worse. Because there's confusion in every evil work. Because these guys and these women and these men both think that they're actually bringing forth some wisdom. And they're not. It's not from the Most High. It's from yourself. Okay? So let's continue on. But wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in them that make peace. Okay? So the wisdom that's from above is going to be pure. It's going to be peaceable. It's going to be gentle. It's going to be easy to be entreated. It's full of mercy. It has good fruits that are commendable in their mouth without partiality. So it's not partial. It's wholesome. It's complete. It's not partial. And it's without hypocrisy. They aren't saying one thing and then turn around saying another. They aren't doing one thing but then saying something different. They aren't saying something and then doing something different. Okay. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. Hence why the Messiah says in Matthew 5, blessed are the peacemakers, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Being a peacemaker ties in directly into how you speak to the people, how you address the people. Do you make peace or do you make war whenever you speak with the people? Which one? Do you make peace or do you make war? Ask yourself. All right, moving on. All right, Wisdom of Solomon. We're getting ready to come to a close. I think we got one more after the Wisdom of Solomon and we will be done. All right, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, starting at verse 6. It says, for wisdom is a loving spirit and will not acquit a blasphemer of his words. For God is witness of his reins and a true beholder of his heart and a hearer of his tongue. Okay, so this is why we need to be watching how we speak, because again, the Most High, by way of his power, which is the Holy Spirit, hears these things. For the Spirit of the Lord filleth the world, and that which containeth all things hath knowledge of the voice. Everything makes a sound. Even if you don't hear it, it still makes a sound. Okay, from the wood that I knock on, from the voice that I have, to the music we hear, to the wind, to when we chew food, that makes a sound, to when something's being cooked, you hear it being cooked because you hear the sizzling. I mean, everything has the knowledge of the voice. All right. Sound is the foundation of all things. Though the heavens and the earth in Genesis 1 was created by what? The knowledge of the voice. Why? How do we know that? Let me go back and read it. Everything was commanded to be brought forth. So everything is according to the knowledge of the voice, sound. Okay. Therefore, verse 8, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid, neither shall vengeance, when it punisheth, pass by him. Everything is heard. Everything that he speaketh unrighteous cannot be hid. Everything that's in darkness is going to come into light, just like the Messiah stated. Little did we realize that he was really speaking about what comes out of our mouth. Because we like to say, oh, well, they can't, they're not going to know I said this. They're not going to know I said this. How they going to find out? Most High knows. Verse 9, for inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come to the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. So judgment's coming. It's not going to pass you up. All right. is not going to pass you up. Inquisition has to be made for the wicked deeds. All right, continuing on. Verse 10. For the ear of jealousy heareth all things, and the noise of murmurings is not hid. Therefore, beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable, and refrain your tongue from backbiting. For there is no word so secret that shall go for naught, and the mouth that bellieth slay, and the mouth that belieth slayeth the soul. Seek not death in error of your life, and put not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands. For God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living. All right, Most High, look, Most High is a jealous Elohim. The Most High Yahweh is a jealous Elohim. All right, so being that he's a jealous Elohim, he's a jealous power, he's going to hear all things, and the noise of murmurings is not hid. That's why we need to beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable. It's what they were doing in the wilderness. Murmurings, constant murmurings. And because of the constant murmurings, we know what happened. A whole generation died off. That was 20 and over. They all died. Did not make it, except for Joshua and Caleb, because of the murmurings. Okay? We got to refrain our tongue from backbiting. There's no word so secret that shall go for naught. All right? We shouldn't seek death in the error of our life. Most High didn't make death. All right? He did not make death. Okay? I believe it's gonna explain it in the next verse. All right, so let's continue on. Verse 14. For he created all things that they might have their being, and the generations of the world were healthful, and there was no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth. For righteousness is immortal, but ungodly men with their works and words called it to them. For when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught and made a covenant with it, because they are worthy to take part with it. So again, things didn't start out with death. Things started out with life, things being created. That's how the Most High created everything. He created everything to be living, to be a living thing. Everything. For righteousness is immortal. But because of our deeds and because of things that we say, we call death to us. We call it to us by what we say and by what we do. Hence, why the tongue rules over good and evil, life and death. Continuing on, let's wrap up here. Let's conclude here. Sirach chapter 22, verse 27. Who shall set a watch before my mouth, and a seal of wisdom upon my lips, that I fall not suddenly by them, and that my tongue destroy me not? Needs no breakdown. With that is the end of this lesson here. Okay, so I hope y'all got some understanding. I hope it went forth. Let me check this chat real quick. All right, much needed lesson. Yeah, definitely much needed. Definitely much needed. All right, so let me go ahead and send this link out in the chat real quick. Let me go ahead and send it out. Give me a second, you guys. All right, you guys, the link is now in the chat. Sorry, I had to kind of put my mic on mute for a second while I did that. But the link is in the chat if you guys want to come on and discuss the information that was brought out today. Just be advised that Debate Talk for You does not condone any foul language, any disrespect, or any name calling. A violation of those things will have you removed from the platform immediately. So whenever you come on, please be sure to keep it clean for debate talk for you. All right. So that's all I have for you guys, man. So if you guys want to come on, definitely feel free to come on. The link is in the chat if you desire to do so. If not, that is okay as well. Well, I will hang out for a few more minutes to see if anybody will come on. So once again, the lesson that went out today is word is bond, the power of the tongue. I hope you guys got some understanding. Um, I see the chat wasn't as lit up today. Usually that happens when I teach this lesson. Usually people get real quiet. So uh, it's just one of those type of lessons where people get real quiet. They don't really have much to say. And again, it's one of those lessons that I'm probably going to get tested by the end of the day on it. So because that's just how it happens. Every time I've taught this lesson, there was a test that came like shortly after. So one of the very first time I taught this lesson, I'm not sure if he's tuning in, but if you are tuning in, you know what happened after I taught this lesson because you were actually there. If you are tuning in, after I taught this lesson, you know what happened. A test came like not even 5 minutes later. Like the test came. So it may end up happening again. Yeah. So again, that's why this lesson had to go out because especially for a platform like Debate Talk for you, I mean, talk, so it's like, okay, well, let's discuss how things need to be spoken according to scripture. All right, no matter what the topic is. All right, let talking actually be the topic this time. So that's why I did this lesson, so that way it can just kind of go out. Plus, it's just time to address the conduct amongst our people. Okay. Um, yeah. So once again, the link is in the chat. If you guys want to come on, the link is in the chat. You guys see the information scrolling down at the bottom. If you guys haven't already, please be sure to donate to Debate Talk for You through PayPal or through Cash App. You guys also see the information scrolling down at the bottom of the screen for all of the social media platforms. So make sure you follow and subscribe and like and share as well. We definitely need the likes and the shares so that way the algorithm can pick up for Debate Talk for You, so this information can go out and people can catch it. That wouldn't have caught it before. So all right, so definitely like the video. Okay, doesn't cost you a thing. If you don't want to donate, that's fine. There's no pressure, but liking the video is just a simple click. All right. It doesn't cost you a thing and it takes nothing but a second. You don't even have to leave the bed if you're laying down. Just grab your phone and definitely click the like button. All right. I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to Air, Miss Thomas. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I definitely appreciate you tuning in live. All right. And so be sure to follow the Clubhouse DT4U World. I believe we may be moving a lot more stuff over there, especially with some of the updates that they have released lately, being able to do replays over there on Clubhouse and all that. So that may be more of a permanent home for Debate Talk for You with regard to certain shows. Sal, he may actually do shows over there also. Once I meet with Sal and get the update and get the approval, I will definitely come back on and give an update for you guys. That way you guys can stay up to date on what's going on with Debate Talk for You. Okay. So if nobody's going to come on, let me get ready to close this out. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really hope that the information has gone forth and the edification was given for your ears to hear. I pray that this lesson has given some insight on how we as the children of Israel should speak, so that way we can exercise the law in our speech and in our conduct. And I believe that the teachings of Hamashiach Yahushai, who is commonly called Jesus Christ, instructs us on how to speak in the very same manner, in more detail. Hence, the fruit of the good tree versus the fruit comes from the corrupted tree. All right. He directly tied that back to how a person speaks, what's in their thoughts, and then what they speak out of their thoughts, which comes out of their mouth. So I believe that this is something that needs to be addressed. The topic of speaking in the tongue, scripturally, it's addressed in the 90 percentile. I have seen that in my studies in the 12 going on 13 years that I've been in this. Okay. That is what I have seen time and time again, is that the way you speak is addressed in scripture 90+% of the time. From Genesis to Revelation, how you speak is addressed quite often. All right. So I really hope that you guys really have gotten that. And most high willing, you guys will, take this, get something from it and be able to exercise it in your own walk. It's how I need to exercise it in my own, and we should exercise it in my household. All right. I just want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the authority of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, for allowing me to come on here to be able to do this and to be able to drop this information here for you guys on this Shabbat day. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to sign off if no one is coming on. So, just want to say that I hope Yahweh keeps you and watch over you always. I bid you all a farewell and Shabbat Shalom.